Welcome to CX Summit with me, David Dungay. Today we have a fantastic keynote from Talkdesk. I have with me Alain Mowad. Welcome to the show, Alain. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? Happy to be here.
I'm great, thank you. I'm really excited for today's keynote. Today's session is titled "Deliver Better CX with Everyday AI." Obviously, we're seeing AI now in a whole manner of places in the CX environment, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on that space. But Alan, before we get into the conversation, maybe you could give us a bit of an introduction to yourself and the business.
Sure. As I mentioned, I'm Alain Mowad, Director of Product Marketing at Talkdesk, and we are a contact center as a service provider.
Fantastic. So let's start with some common misconceptions. We all have heard of this thing, AI, but what it can do and can't do is potentially up for a bit of discussion. But what are some of those common misconceptions that people have when it comes to AI and what it can do?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one that comes up all the time, actually. And really, probably the number one misconception is that it's complicated and expensive. Although that was true a decade ago, it certainly isn't the case anymore. AI has become very, would say, democratized in a way that anyone can use it in order to and leverage AI in order to improve their business processes. The other misconception, I think a key misconception, is that we often see AI as a solution looking for a problem, when actually it should be the reverse. We should know what the problems are and which jobs needs to be done and what problems need to be solved, and then apply AI to solve those problems.
Fantastic. So AI, one of the use cases we're seeing is, of course, reading all the kinds of data that we're seeing coming out of the contact center. Businesses are collecting data. Not every business is entirely sure as to which data they should be collecting and why. What is the right data for businesses to collect?
Yeah, interesting stat, David, from Accenture is 80% in enterprises. They found that 80% of data that enterprises are collecting is unstructured data. So that creates a bit of a mess for a company when they have data that they would require either a science, someone with data science experience, complicated data analytics tools and expensive analytics tools, and months of hard work to try and figure out or make sense of that data. And there's with the recent advances in AI, that's no longer an issue, and enterprises can now take advantage of that unstructured data, and that unstructured data really comes in the forms of interactions that companies have day to day with customers. Right, it's the behavioral and emotional customer data they're collecting, how customers are interacting with you, what's their temperament, are they happy, are they sad, are they upset, are they a flight risk? Are they going to move on? And retention is a big issue. And then all the intelligence lies in that untapped data and potentially getting insights into how customers are interacting with you, what improvements can be made to your processes, and how to turn every customer into a happy customer.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that unstructured data. How can enterprises particularly go about extracting those insights you talk about from that unstructured data?
Yep. Really, it comes down to deep learning and being able to leverage natural language processing to be able to make sense of that unstructured data. So we've come a long way in terms of starting with pattern matching, which is very simple, phrases or words, keywords, key phrases, to more deep understanding or deep learning, if you will, of natural language, and understanding the context of what's happening in a conversation. So there's a lot of conversations that occur between customers and enterprises and businesses on a daily basis. How do we make sense of that? And that's really around natural language understanding, and then leveraging the insights from what you're learning from that, from the results of that, in order to apply to improving the customer experience.
So, Alan, tell me, is AI now a technology that can be used every day. And where are we on this sort of journey we're all on when it comes to AI technology?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I think it all started in the 50s when with the Turing test and understanding can machines, and this was Alan Turing back in the 50s, who created the Turing test. And the basic premise behind that was can machines think? And in 55, Professor John McCarthy labeled it, let's call it AI, artificial intelligence. His thinking was that a machine could be trained to think and to do certain tasks, automated tasks. There was a long period which they typically call the first and second AI winter. It's kind of a bad way to describe it. The many false starts in AI. I like to think it's more an era of experimentation, where we really had to get to that next level of AI to make it, to democratize it, make it more widely available, and then create the tools that are needed so that everybody could use and leverage AI. And so that was the deep learning revolution, spearheaded by companies like Google and Amazon. And then democratizing as a deep learning revolution and moving into democratizing AI. Again, same companies, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, making it easier for others to create AI applications and making the data available to create those applications. And finally, now we're in what we call the no code revolution, where it's really easy. AI becomes really easy and accessible to bring benefits to all companies without requiring any kind of technical expertise.
So you mentioned no code and low code there. I'm really interested in skills. What this means for skill sets and businesses. Is AI only available to those businesses that are able to invest in specific AI skills, or is that not needed now?
No, that's the beauty of no code is that you don't need those skills. You don't need data scientists on staff. You don't need specialists on staff and months and much much expense as it were being used to in order to create AI applications or AI processes. Now, any business user can very simply get access to the insights, be able to mine the data with a few simple business rules, can determine, okay, here's the data I'm looking for. Here's the actions I want to take based on the data that I'm getting. And all this in a very simple, easy to use interface that allows them to build very quickly AI applications, whether they're bots, so automations, right, or assisted applications. So being able to assist agents who are dealing with customers on a daily basis with knowledge articles, next best action suggestions, and so on.
Oh, fantastic! Well, you mentioned a few of the use cases for agents there. Actually, let's talk about agents. How is AI helping agents deliver a better customer experience? We commonly talk about this actually on CX today, but I mean, where else also outside of that is AI being used in the contact center as well?
Yeah, it's being used in multiple different ways. I think the one that's most commonly heard of or that commonly bounced around is the automation piece, where um, a lot of the interactions that occur between a customer and a contact center or a company can be solved through automation, right? Simple things like where's my order? When my flight's been delayed, can I rebook my flight? And so on and so forth. So simple interactions where you don't really need an agent, where a bot can handle it and can handle it efficiently and effectively. And that actually does improve the customer experience, but it also improves the agent experience because um, spending time on repetitive, mundane tasks can be tedious for an agent, right? Whereas what you want is your agents to do more of the high value interactions, so complex interactions where a customer does need a live agent in order to help. So moving beyond the bot can intelligently decide, okay, it's time to elevate it to an agent. And then AI comes into play with the agent's experience by assisting them with suggestions, knowledge-based articles, next best actions, in order to allow them to better handle a customer interaction, and also make it quicker because a customer wants two things, right? I want my problem solved and I want it solved quickly. And so giving them that ability, and so it just makes the customer happier and also makes the agent happier.
So, Alan, tell me, I keep hearing this phrase, deeper insights. Also, we're talking about AI and how to extract insights from data. Tell me about how AI can get to these deeper insights and what that means exactly.
Yep, that's a question that comes up all the time, and it's really three things. So the first is natural language processing. And so this is the ability to do speech and text recognition. And that comes through from real-time transcriptions and then also translations, because we're talking about a multilingual environment where in English, French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, and so on. And so being able to process the language, turn it into a format that can be used by the AI engine in order to extract insights and also to make decisions on the insights that are extracted. The next, and that goes down to the next piece, which is natural language understanding. And this is really key, because this is where you understand context, you understand specifically what the data represents and what it means. And comes through with vocabulary customization. And vocabulary customization is key for industries. The vocabulary of the healthcare industry is not the same vocabulary as the financial industry, not the same vocabulary as the retail industry. And so having that customized vocabulary, so that when somebody is calling in a retail scenario or calling in, say, in a banking scenario, that it's easy for the AI engine to understand the context for which they are contacting the company. And then finally, around that is natural language generation, and the ability to understand intent and sentiment as well, and then to respond to that intelligently. So think of it as a step way up from your traditional IVR, where you have your static menus. And if I say something, okay, you said one, so I'm going to go to this menu item. It's more an intelligent response to what I've said. You've understood what I've said. You've processed what I've said, and I'm going to provide you with a customized response because I understand your intent. I also understand your sentiment, and I know what you're looking for.
There'll be a lot of viewers watching today, Alan, that will be thinking, well, how do I use AI in my own business to improve my customer experience? What's your advice to those viewers watching today? Where should they start their journey? What should they be looking at?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the key thing is being able to partner with a vendor that understands and that has expertise in implementing AI applications for the contact center. And that's everything from self-service applications. So these could be bots, this could be assisted self-service, or moving on to full assisted service, where you have AI and automation helping agents resolve customer issues in the event where it's a live interaction. And it's a vendor that can create all of these, that has all of these AI-powered automation tools. It's virtual agent, the ability to automate both voice and data and digital interactions. The ability to do any kind of self-service via website or app, live agent support, so being able to do agent assistance, and then being able to provide knowledge management, ability to empower agents to be able to get the knowledge that they need, topical and specific to the interaction they're having with the customer, to help them resolve the customers quicker. Additionally, there should be some kind of a feedback loop that's enabled in order to train and tune the AI system. And so it's all around quality assurance. We call it quality assurance agreement system, where you have what we call human in the loop technology, where an AI engine is continually being trained and tuned, and using humans or agents who are in the loop in a discussion to help train the AI system, so that it can make better decisions, gather better insights, and make better decisions in the next interactions.
Great. Well, I think that's a fantastic place to end today's discussion. Alan, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, David. It was a real pleasure.
And thank you for watching. You've been watching me, David Dungay, on CX Summit. Don't forget to look around the platform. There's loads of insights to come from the various exhibitors and sessions as well. And don't forget to have a look at the Talkdesk exhibitor hub as well. There's lots of information around that you should go and have a look at. That's it from me. See you next time.